Welcome back to WEC Icons, and this is an episode that a lot of you have been asking for. It's about time that we talk about the Aston Martin Valkyrie, and isn't she a beauty? It's a real fan favourite with that incredible V12 engine, and we're going to chat to Ian James to learn a little bit more about it. Ian James, welcome to WEC Icons. And first things first, would you mind introducing yourself for me, please, and telling me a little bit about your involvement with the Valkyrie?
Yeah, my name's Ian James. I'm the team principal for Aston Martin Heart of Racing. And yeah, I guess I've been involved with this since its inception.
What is the official name of this car in the WEC?
This is officially an Aston Martin Valkyrie.
Short and simple,
Short
easy.
and simple, to the point.
Right, let's get into the good stuff. Can you start off by telling me a little about the engine, any of the specs on the car that you think we need to know?
Okay, so it's a 6.5 litre V12, normally aspirated engine, carbon chassis like all the other competitors in the hypercar class, and it's derived from the DNA of the Valkyrie road car.
I'm really excited to come back onto that because that's pretty unique for the hypercar class in the WEC. But first things first, what about the gearbox? What gearbox does it use? It
uses a 7-speed X-Track gearbox, British manufacturer. It's similar to some of the other gearboxes used in the class, full spec racing gearbox. With a conventional differential.
And outside of regulations, how much does it weigh?
Well, it weighs about 1,000 kilos, fully kitted up with all the oils in it.
And does the car have any hybrid element at all? And if so, when would that be active?
No, so this car is unique in the championship in that it does not have a hybrid element. We do have an electric motor, which we use in the pit lane, to bump start the car. But other than that, it doesn't have a hybrid element on the racetrack.
So, before we dive deeper into all the specifics of this car, let's take a quick moment to appreciate that beautiful V12 engine.
And you did touch on it, but let's delve into it a little bit more. This car is, in fact, then derived from a road car.
Yeah, it's actually the only car in the championship that has the DNA and actually started life as a road car and then was transformed into a race car. And I think we all can agree what a stunning example it is.
And you've been involved in this project of bringing this to the WEC for a little while now. What was the biggest challenge of adapting it from its road car sister?
Well, we started off, with the road car and then we had to bring it to a race car. And in race spec, it actually has less horsepower, for example, than in the road spec. Yeah, it's over 1,000 horsepower when it's on the road. We have to bring this down to, just under 700 horsepower for the racetrack. And then we had to adapt the aerodynamics and all the dimensions of the car just changed slightly in one way or another. So it was good to start with such an awesome road car, but also that had its challenges it wasn't a clean sheet of paper. So yeah, aerodynamics, suspension, engine is essentially the same as the road car base, but the road car does have a hybrid element and that actually had to be removed. And the road car also has an active aerodynamic element that's not allowed in the series either, so that had to be removed. So we actually had to detune some of the elements of the road car to make it fit into the championship.
That's really interesting. And one of my favourite questions, what do you think on this car makes it look like an Aston Martin? What elements do you think people can look at and go, oh yeah, I know who that belongs to?
Right here, that's very similar to the road car and it dimensionally is the same. And anytime you see the wings on the car, it shouts Aston Martin.
And actually, can you talk us through some of the aero choices on this car and perhaps what some of the different features do more specifically?
Yeah, I mean, let's go to the front of the car. So as opposed to some of the cars, you see the nose is quite high up off the ground, as opposed to a conventional flat splitter basic. And this car, because it's derived from the road car, it has quite large tunnels that go all the way from the front of the car to the rear of the car that generate a lot of the floor downforce. The hypercar class, especially against the LMDH class, They have a flat floor. We don't have a flat floor. We have a tunnel that goes, like I say, from here all the way to the exit on the rear.
Okay.
And then aerodynamically on the top, you'll see a lot of these little winglets and vertical straights for the rollover rules. So you see large rear elements to the rear wing. You see the fin on the rear. So all the cars have to conform to, if in the unfortunate event it gets sideways on the racetrack, that it doesn't flip over. So that's why some people ask what all these fins are for. Here. It's if you get sideways, is to make sure they stay on the ground.
And are there any parts that are adjustable on this car in order to fix it and make it better from track to track?
Yeah, so the regulations dictate that you can either change the front or the rear. So the rear is fixed on this car, and then we have a nifty device here, the second plane here on the front. And we put an adjuster in here and we can adjust the plane on the front. So we adjust the car completely on the front axle.
And how is that done with the adjuster? What kind of does that look like?
It's just a quick speed wrench that gets slotted in here, and then they can just turn and add half a degree at a time.
And we do, of course, have to talk about this beautiful livery on the car. Where did that come from? Because I know Heart of Racing traditionally is the blue, but Aston Martin green.
Yeah, so as you see the livery, you'll see the trademark Heart of Racing flag design, which is blended into the green. So obviously green is Aston through and through. And then we've incorporated the Heart of Racing DNA in terms of the flags, and we're super happy how it's turned out.
And do you think you could tell us a little bit about the brakes potentially on this, what they made from?
Yeah, so all the cars in this class are carbon fiber brakes, discs and pads. Each manufacturer has slightly different specs, but essentially everybody runs the same brakes, so all carbon fiber.
And what's the relationship now like between the road-going car and the racing car? Is there any sort of development that comes from one towards the other, the race-to-road idea?
Well, the Valkyrie is a mature car now. It's fully delivered. It's out to the lucky customers that actually receive one. But Aston Martin has a long line of cars coming up for the future, the new Valhalla, and everything we learn on the race car. There's always little bits that you can learn that can get fed back down into the road car production. Can
you talk me through some of the unique aspects of the steering wheel?
Starting at the top of the wheel, obviously on these rotaries here, we have the different traction controls that they can change depending on what the grip levels is. We have the radio button, obviously that they can talk to the pit wall, flashing when they come up behind those pesky GT cars. Except me, they're not allowed to flash me when I'm out there.
That was my next question, actually.
Yeah, exactly. There's a coffee button here. I'm not quite sure what that is. So
drink maybe?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. That's a drinks button. And then we move down here to the rotaries. Obviously engine maps. PPU is interesting in this championship with the torque sensors. You're only allowed to just sneak over the top power limits very fractionally per lap. So we have to keep adjusting this to keep right on the optimal settings throughout the whole lap. This multi-setting here is something that the drivers can change to multiple settings. As you see, there's like little letters here, A, B, C, all the way through the alphabet. And then that has a corresponding number here. So the engineer will come on the radio and go, okay, so you need to go multi-A, 12, for example. And then moving up onto the right-hand side, full course yellow. Obviously, that's pretty unique in this championship. Yeah. Hit that button, controls it to 80 kilometers an hour. Windscreen wipers, pit lane speed limit. And this is a mode, it just switches between the different pages. There's multiple different pages to see what settings they want to see on the display. And then also the paddles on the back of the steering wheel too. Yeah, so we have the gear shifts, and we also have the clutch on the back of the steering wheel. So, and then they also have different brake settings. So from corner to corner, they may want a different brake bias, and they get to change this by pulling these paddles back as they drive around the track. So, like I say, the drivers really, it's a lot to take in, and it's a lot to learn. And it's a real test for them to keep their concentration on not only going ahead and racing, but doing all the different settings. It's like a computer game these days. Also, is there anything in the cockpit that you think is unique and you'd like to point out to us? So we talk about the relationship for the race car and the road car. Obviously, the road car, it fits two people quite comfortably. If you zoom in here, you see how small the actual cockpit and what space is left. There's just enough room for one driver. We have a removable headrest in the middle here. And then on the right-hand side, it's just chock full of electronics. I mean, there's
You're not kidding.
8 or 9 control units in there. And then we have a fan on that because, obviously we know electronics, they get hot, so we have the AC hose you can see going into the back of the seat.
Is that actually AC or is it just a cooling vent?
No, it's AC. We
Nice.
actually have an AC unit, which is driven off the rear gearbox.
Lucky guys.
Yeah, lucky. Too lucky. Why do they need AC, I say? So it's pretty tight confines, and most of our drivers are pretty tall, right? But they actually say it's really comfortable to drive in there. Their feet are a little bit higher than their butt, which is the same as the road car, but no complaints on the ergonomics or the driver feedback. So that's great news.
Well, Ian, thank you so much for talking me through this, but I have to ask you one final question, which is, what is your favourite part of the Valkyrie?
Oh, that's a tough one. The basic look of the car is amazing, but my favourite feature on the car is this really close in detail here. If you see these turning vanes for the air that go on this wheel arch, I think that's pretty unique in terms of all the hypercars. And to me, it just makes the car look really sexy. I love it.
Super cool. Well, Ian, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for watching, and we will see you for the next WEC Icons.